Welcome, everyone, and let's jump right into today's explainer. We're going to unpack the absolutely epic story of a city that has gone through some massive reincarnations over the centuries. I'm talking about Lucknow. Now, this isn't just your standard history lesson. No, this is a journey through a place that's literally been a mythological kingdom, a seat of lavish royalty, the epicenter of a fierce rebellion, and, as you'll see, a booming modern powerhouse.
To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of what we're looking at today, let's start with a number: 2.8 million. Based on the 2011 census, that is the massive population of Lucknow. It's the 11th most populous city in India and the capital of Uttar Pradesh. It's a sprawling, densely packed urban giant. But, beneath those millions of modern residents lies a foundation built on ancient, almost mysterious roots that stretch back thousands of years.
So to make sense of all this dense history, here's our roadmap. We're going to break Lucknow's story down into 4 distinct eras. Number 1, the origins of Lucknow. 2, the era of Nawabs. 3, rebellion and independence. And 4, the modern metropolis.
Okay, let's kick things off with part 1, the origins of Lucknow.
If we pull the curtain all the way back to the 6th century BCE, during the late Vedic period, this whole region was part of the ancient realm of Kosala. But before we get too deep, we really have to ask, where does the name Lucknow actually come from? Well, the anglicized spelling we use today hides this really fun historical ambiguity. There's no single universally agreed upon origin story for the name. Instead, we get this fascinating blend of ancient myth and local legend.
There are basically 3 main competing legends here. The most popular theory connects the city straight to Lakshmana, the hero of the Hindu epic, the Ramayana. The legend goes that he had an estate here called Lakshmanapuri, literally Lakshmana's city. Fast forward to the 11th century, phonetics shift a bit and it becomes Lakhampur, and eventually Lucknow. Now, a similar theory suggests it was actually called Lakshmanavadi, meaning fortunate, which then morphed into Lucknadi and then Lucknow. Okay, but what about the others? Well, another theory links the city to Lakshmi, the Hindu goddess of wealth, evolving from Laxmanadi down to Lucknow. And finally, the third legend points to a highly influential local architect named Lakna Ahir, who built a fortress known as Kila Lucknow. So the big takeaway here? Whether it comes from epic heroes, goddesses of wealth, or master builders, the very name of the city is totally steeped in legendary origins.
Now, moving into recorded history, from 1350 onwards, control of Lucknow flipped constantly, rapidly. First, the Delhi Sultanate takes over. Then they're followed quickly by an 84-year rule by the Sharqi Sultanate of Jaunpur in 1394. Then Emperor Humayun sweeps in, making it part of the Mughal Empire around 1555. Jump to 1722, the Nabs of Awadh take the stage, and eventually, the British East India Company arrives in 1856. The sheer velocity of these conquests proved just how highly contested this region was. Basically, whoever controlled Lucknow controlled the heart of North India.
Which brings us to part 2, the era of Nawabs. This right here is where the city reaches its absolute cultural zenith. We are talking about a period defined by extraordinary grandeur, refinement, and just pure extravagance. The Nabs actually officially gave Lucknow its name after their third ruler made it their capital. And they totally transformed it into North India's cultural capital. They were huge patrons of the arts and left behind these incredibly enduring architectural marvels. Monuments like the Bara Imambara, the Chota Imambara, and the towering Rumi Darwaza. These are absolutely stunning examples of the era, and the best part is, you can still see them standing proud today.
But it wasn't just about buildings. Under the Nawabs, the city's literal soul blossomed. Music, dance, and poetry flourished on an unprecedented scale. This era also cultivated a highly refined tradition of courtesans, which became deeply embedded in the cultural fabric. It's a tradition you might actually recognize, as it was famously immortalized in popular culture through the fictional poetic avatar of Umrao Jan.
But, perhaps the single most pivotal takeaway from the Nawab era is what's known as Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb. This wasn't just 2 groups of people living side by side, no. This was a deeply syncretic Hindu-Muslim culture that seamlessly blended diverse traditions into one beautifully unified regional identity. Honestly, this harmonious cultural blending remains one of the Nawab's most beautiful and enduring legacies in Lucknow today.
All right, moving into part 3, rebellion and independence.
As we know, history rarely stays quiet for long. The massive extravagance of the Nawabs eventually caught the eye of the British East India Company.
In 1856, they moved their troops to the border and officially annexed the state of Awadh, citing allegations of maladministration. And this annexation? It lit a complete powder keg. Just 1 year later, Lucknow became a major epicenter of the historic 1857 Indian Rebellion. Rebel forces, made up largely of locals and Awadh nobility who had actually previously served in the company's troops, completely seized control of the state. The British garrison was trapped and heavily besieged at the residency in Lucknow. This triggered an exhausting, bloody 18-month struggle for the British to reconquer the region. It finally took massive relief forces under the command of Sir Henry Havelock, Sir James Outram, and eventually Sir Colin Campbell just to break the siege. If you visit Lucknow today, the ruins of the residency and the Shahid Smarak stand as powerful, quiet witnesses to this exact, high-stakes history.
Fast forward a few decades, and Lucknow once again becomes the stage for history. During the 1916 Congress session, the city hosted one of the most pivotal unifying moments in India's entire independence movement. This is where Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah all met. Through the tireless efforts of figures like Annie Besant, moderates and extremists came together, culminating in the historic signing of the Lucknow Pact. To really capture the emotion of that moment, let's look at this powerful quote from Ambikacharan Majumdar, the Congress president at that 1916 session. He proclaimed, "If the Congress was buried at Surat, it is reborn in Lucknow in the garden of Wajid Ali Shah." That just brilliantly illustrates how the city wasn't just some meeting place. It acted as a literal rebirth for the unified struggle for independence. And the fire of independence continued to burn brightly in Lucknow. The city was a very active base for the Caliphate movement, creating a united opposition against British rule. It was also the site of the famous Kakori conspiracy and its subsequent trial. Revolutionaries like Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan, Rajendranath Lahiri, and Roshan Singh took incredibly bold actions that fiercely captured the entire nation's imagination, right here in the heart of Lucknow.
Which brings us to our final act, Part 4, the modern metropolis. Following India's independence in 1947, the United Provinces were reorganized into the state of Uttar Pradesh, and Lucknow firmly retained its status as the capital. And here is where things get really exciting. Despite its ancient mythological roots, its Nawabi extravagance, and its battle-scarred past, Lucknow is charging into the future. Get this, it currently ranks as the 17th fastest-growing city in all of India, and the 74th fastest-growing in the entire world. It is a true modern powerhouse.
So how exactly is it growing so fast? Well, it has this massive dual-engine economy. On one hand, you have thriving industries ranging from aerospace and a booming IT sector to emerging automobile manufacturing and pharmaceuticals. On the other hand, it's a massive hub for education and research. It's home to premier institutions like IIM Lucknow, the Indian Institute of Information Technology, AKTU, and the Central Drug Research Institute. And on top of all of that, it also serves as the headquarters of the Central Command of the Indian Army.
But honestly, what I love most about Lucknow is that amidst all the aerospace engineering and IT development, it has never ever lost its soul or its appetite for that matter. Lucknow, alongside Agra and Varanasi, forms the vital backbone of the Uttar Pradesh heritage arc. Plus, it is globally recognized as a UNESCO City of Gastronomy, so those rich, poetic, and culinary traditions that were born centuries ago, they are still flourishing today. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, somewhat provocative thought. We've seen this city transition from the ancient realm of Kosala through the Delhi Sultanate, the Mughals, the Nawabs, and the British Raj, right into a modern-day metropolis of millions. So as a city reborn across 5 empires, what will the next incarnation of Lucknow look like? It's just a massive testament to incredible human resilience and cultural endurance. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive today. Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next one.